All right, everyone, I am going to apologize for the lighting quality on this video. If you can bear with me and just shade with me as we practice with watercolor pencil. So a couple of things about watercolor pencil. This brand that I am using is a little bit different than the brands that you're going to be using. But a couple of just kind of tips and tricks about watercolor pencils. So the way that this works is this pencil, the pencil lead or the pencil graphite in here, the colored part is water soluble. So what that means is it dissolves in water. So essentially this turns into paint when you add water to it. Okay, so we always tend to put it down on our paper first and then add water on top. But just think about this colored part as being dried paint. Now, a lot of these different brands, there's a couple different ones on your table, have an end cap that looks like this. Always make sure that you use the hand sharpener over your little black bins on your table to actually sharpen these up. And then don't sharpen the end cap like a weirdo, okay? Just make sure that you're sharpening it from the one end using the hand sharpener and not the other. So our first color fade here is just a typical dark to light. And as we kind of go through this together, I will just explain it to you, just a little bit about the watercolor pencil. I would choose a medium range to a darker color to do with this. I'm just going to choose Iris Blue that I have in my set. And as always, we're starting on one side of the paper with hard pressure as we go across our box section here. Still at hard pressure right now. Letting up to a harder medium pressure, letting up to a medium pressure, letting up to a lighter pressure, lightest pressure, lighter pressure, and off. Okay, so I have this color fade that looks like this. Okay, now I'm going to fix my edges and just share with you a little bit about watercolor pencils. So the cool thing about watercolor pencil is that the harder you press with it, the darker the color of your paint. The lighter you press with it, the lighter the color of your paint. Okay, so equate your pencil pressure to lightness and darkness of paint. Okay. The other thing is, and this will come into play a little bit later on, you want to, even if you're doing light pressure with this, you want to keep your color as even as possible. You don't want to make it kind of scratchy and scraggly like this, because when you add water to that, a lot of times you still see the mark making underneath. Okay, so even if you're coloring lightly, you just want to make it as even as possible. Okay, what I like about this one here is that it has a clear, dark, medium light, and lightest, and it goes gradually. There's not lines separating the pressure. I'm going to do one more for good luck. So remember, hardest pressure, letting up to medium hard pressure, letting up to medium pressure, letting up to lighter medium pressure, lighter medium pressure, lightest pressure, lighter pressure, and off, and matching the edges. For this top part here with the dark to light, you can switch colors. I wouldn't recommend doing anything that's super light for this, like yellow probably wouldn't work. Don't use the whites that are in your bin. Just not worth your time. Okay. Now, while I'm fixing these edges here, I'm going to explain to you the next section here. So the next section is about analogous colors and analogous color fades. So real quick reminder, analogous colors are the best friends of the color wheel. They are side by side. They have a color in common. So one color goes into the creation of the other. So I will have in your slideshow spelled out for you all the color combinations that you can have. One of my favorites to do on camera is the red into orange color fade. The reason why I like it so much is that these types of color fades, particularly the warmer ones, the ones that are based around, you know, the red, are kind of like your sunsets. So when you see that beautiful sunset in the sky, that essentially is an analogous color fade, and so it's just really cool looking. So with your color fades for analogous colors, you want to choose colors that are side by side on the color wheel. I have red into orange here. And the other thing you might want to be mindful of is that if you have one of these that are clearly darker than the other, like for my example, which you can't really see because the lighting is horrible, my red is a little bit darker than my orange here. I'm actually going to start with that color as my base fade and then bring the lighter color in from the other side, okay? If you can't tell which one is darker, don't worry about it. So with my initial color, which for me is my darker red, I am going to do the exact same thing that I did up here, okay, except in this box. So I have hard pressure, letting up to medium hard pressure, letting up to medium pressure, lighter medium, lighter, lightest, and off. Okay, so right now I don't have line separating my pressure. I'm going to fix my edges real quick. And then with my second color, which is my color that's analogous to the first, I am going to press pretty hard, I would say most of the way through, most of the way, 3/4 of the way through. All right, so with my orange, I'm gonna come in and press a little bit harder with it to get it to blend with that red, okay? So right in here, I should have let off right here, right before the end. I just wasn't thinking about it. So with my second color, I'm going to use it as the blender. So I'm going to press pretty hard with it, 3/4 of the way across. And so right now I'm at the halfway mark, and right in here, I'm going to start to let off the pressure. Lighter pressure and off. Okay. Let's say that as I blended my second color in, I lost a little bit of my first color. I can come back over top and blend it one more time for good luck. So I can do my base fade over it. Base fade just means your original color that you used, your hard, medium, and light. So hard pressure, medium pressure, lighter pressure, and off. Okay, just to bring some of that back in. Okay, just for kicks on camera, let's see if I can do one more analogous color set. And so I think what I am going to do is I am going to do, not spill these all over the floor. Let's try green into yellow. So I'm going to try green into yellow here. And for me, my green is actually a little bit darker, so I'm going to start with that one first. So I'm going to press really hard. Let up to medium pressure, lighter medium pressure. Lightest pressure and off. I'm going to fix my edges. So watch your craftsmanship on these. These shouldn't look super, super scribbly. We don't really want to have to practice this more than we have to. Remember, this will be one of our last tiles. We'll do one in watercolor set and then probably one in watercolor pencil. And so here we go. All right, and then this last one, I'm going to use this yellow as the blender. So I'm going to press really hard with this, right probably 3/4 of the way across. So hard pressure, 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 letting off to medium, letting off to lighter, and off. And then I'll fix my edges here. And that is that. Okay, now for this bottom section, I want you to practice creating the illusion of a cylinder, okay, for two different cylinder examples. For your cylinder, your light spot is always in the middle, and your top is generally lighter than the sides. I didn't do the best job with that, okay? I already did mine in one color here, okay? So what I did for that was I pressed really hard, let up the pressure at the middle, and then added the hard pressure toward the other side. You'll see what it looks like because I'm gonna do a base fade here with the same color before I add my analogous color in, okay? So for this first one, you're going to do one color, right? That blends out. For this one, you're going to do two. So for this one, I'm going to start with my darker analogous color set. I'm just going to keep using the ones I have been using because they're out. Hard pressure, letting up to medium pressure, letting up to lighter pressure, lightest pressure, pressing a little bit harder, pressing a little bit harder than that, harder, 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 until I end right there, okay? So I have something that looks like this. I'm gonna make this area down towards the bottom of the cylinder a little bit darker. Because it's sitting on another surface. I'm going to make it just a smidge darker towards the top, not by much. And then the topmost part of this cylinder, I'm going to make it really light as I possibly can. Toward the edges here, it can get a little bit darker. And again, I'm trying to kind of curve my strokes a little bit with this. This is about as good as I can do right now. Now I'm gonna bring, because this is an analogous color fade, I'm gonna bring my lighter color in from the middle and blend it out. So I'm pressing decently hard with this, blending it out towards the red side right before it gets to pure red. Blending it out towards the other side right before it gets to pure red. Fixing my edges at the bottom, fixing my edges at the top. Making it a little bit lighter here in the middle. I feel like I made the top lid of this too dark, but that's okay. Okay. And you have your analogous cylinder here. Now to apply this to your palm tree, okay, so I'm going to choose colors maybe that make a little bit more sense for this. And let's even get a brown going on in here. Yep, okay. So I'm going to do this exact same technique on here. So I'm going to keep the tree trunk light in the center, okay, and darker towards the edges. So the lightest part of this in the center, darker towards the edges. I'm gonna do some circle fades on these. Lightest in the center, darker towards the edges. For the palm tree leaves here, I'm going to essentially keep it sort of a circle fade as well. I want the highlight to be kind of in the center of the leaf, darker towards the edges. And I'm not going to do the whole thing for you, but I want to share with you how you can blend another color in. So remember how I did the analogous green to yellow fade? I could add the green in the center and kind of blend it out here. To make kind of this really fun yellow-green color. And you can color the rest of those palm tree leaves in there. Just wanted to give you an idea of how you could do that. Okay. Next side of your worksheet is going to look like this. So I actually just did some of these, okay, right along with you. And so with the dark to light circle, the highlight is in the center. Okay, so I'll share with you how to do that and then how to do the analogous color set. For this one, remember, you're starting, it's going to be dark to dark again. So the lightest part's actually going to be right in the center. And the hard part about this is that you have to curve your strokes. Okay, so on the outside, you're going to create your darkest part. And as you go across this oval, you're going to let up your pressure, and also your strokes are going to get almost straight up and down. Now at this point in time, I'm going to flip my paper because it's easiest for me to do the left-hand side because I'm right-handed. I'm going to do the same thing I just did. So I'm pressing hard with the most curve and letting up to medium pressure. Letting it to lighter, medium, lightest, and off. It's the most curved around the outside and lightest towards the middle. Okay. To do the analogous color set, I can actually do it the same way. So I'm going to use my green and my yellow one more time. Darkest towards the edge. And as I go across, and then straight up and down. With the lightest towards the middle, and then I'm going to flip my page one more time. Hard pressure, most curve toward the outside. Letting it to medium, lighter medium, lightest with less curve, almost straight up and down and off. going to bring my second color in from the outside, sorry, from the center. Remember, with your second color with your analogous fade, you're going to want to press pretty hard and curve your strokes outward. So I'm curving the most toward the edge. Curving outward. Curving the most. So this is kind of what you get here, okay? Now when you apply it to different things, I'm not going to do all these examples for you, but I do want you to mess around with them and see what you get. I'm actually going to use the blue for this flower just because, but I'm going to do it the same way. So towards the outside, it's going to be the most curve and the darkest. Okay. And then towards the center, it's going to be the lightest with the least amount of curve. So most curve toward the outside. Lightest towards the center. I'll do one more petal and then I'll do the center. Most curve toward the outside. Lightest in the center. And then your center can be one of these fades too. I'm going to use this color. Hardest pressure toward the outside. Lightest toward the center. Okay, kind of like so, right? I'm not going to do this flower, but I do want you to attempt it. I think that's kind of cool. And then last but not least, I've got my football here, okay? This works perfectly for this football, yes? So it's the same type of shape. It's kind of that oval shape. So remember, toward your outside, it's going to be your hardest pressure. And also your most curve. I'm just going to shade the football itself, not any of the lacing or the little strappy parts here, whatever's going on. Okay. I'm going to turn this on its side just so you can kind of see what I'm doing here. As I go towards the center, I'm going to let up my pressure significantly. And my strokes become less curved. I'm going to flip this. It's easier for me to work it from this side. Okay, so hardest pressure, most curve. Letting up the pressure gradually till the center. There we go. I think this is the best I can do right at this moment. Okay. But see how darker towards the edges, a lot lighter in the center, and I would spend some time doing some detail work there. Okay. So make sure that as you're completing this, you're really thinking about your technique of like color blending, letting gradually off your pressure, okay, without lines or stripes, separating the pressure, and that you're also worrying about your craftsmanship, okay? So all of your curved shapes should have a curve to them through your hand stroke here. And then make sure that you fill this in entirely to receive that full graded credit so we don't have to go back to it.